Welcome back, everybody, to episode 6 of the CG Sports Podcast. Today, what we're going to be going over, once again, is my Week 5 NFL predictions. So, we're going to get straight into it. Just a quick review for last week. We went 10-5 on last week's picks, which is pretty good. And just a quick note, this is the first week where we actually have bye weeks. So, I will make sure that I cover those teams that aren't playing this week. This week, it's just the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions. So the only game I really want to review from last week would be the Cleveland Browns win over the Dallas Cowboys. This game was simply an upset to me. They've been one of the most disappointing teams the Browns have so far. And OBJ pretty much just went back to his old self, and he put up 3 touchdowns. Amazing game by him. We're going to see this week if he's really back, but we'll get into that when we talk about the Browns. Overall, I think the Cowboys played pretty well, but they got outmatched by a former superstar catching fire. All right, without further ado, let's get straight into Week 5. Starting off with the Thursday night game, we got the Bucs and the Bears. Bucs, of course, last week played the Chargers, won a close one. I believe they won by a touchdown, 38-31. The Bears, on the other hand, took a tough loss to the Colts. They still look good, I got to admit. But this game right here, this is going to be one of my big upset picks of the week. I think Nick Foles is going to beat Brady in what is, of course, everyone's calling the Super Bowl 52 rematch. I think even though the Bears lost last week, Foles and the Bears still have a ton of momentum. I think the Bears defense is going to be a real problem, and they're very underrated this year. I mean, you look at Khalil Mack and even Kyle Fuller, just 2 great players and veteran guys to lead that defense. Overall, I think the Bucs are going to play well, have another good week, but I think the Bears defense is going to wreak havoc and take, I would say, 2 turnovers this week. So Bears going to take this one 27-23. All right, moving on, we're going to the Sunday games, starting with the Jaguars and the Texans. Jaguars took a loss and handed Joe Burrow his first win last week. And the Texans, on the other hand, stay winless in a close loss to the Vikings. So I've seen nothing positive from the Texans since week 1. I mean, we watched them week 1 at Kansas City. They looked solid. I mean, David Johnson had himself a game. But since then, I really haven't seen much from them. I expect Gardner Minshew and the Jaguars to make easy work of this Texans team. Watson's going to have another good day, as he usually does, but the Jaguars are going to simply outmatch them on both sides of the ball. Minshew's thrown for 3 touchdowns this week, the way I see it, and Jags taking this one 31-20. Next game we got the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. As we said, Bengals beat the Jaguars, getting them their first win. Ravens played the Washington football team and took a pretty easy win there too. Bengals, they started slow. If you watched the game last week, they really started slow in the first half. They were down, and then in the second half, they just started making things happen. Joe Burrow still looked sharp once again, and he just showed out. But I think that this week is going to be his toughest challenge. He's facing the reigning MVP and a Baltimore defense that's pretty good. I mean, look, even with that, Joe Burrow, he's proven himself to me so far. He's legit. I expect him to have another good game, but Lamar and that Ravens offense, they're going to make easy work of the Bengals. They're not going to be denied a win here, especially not against a team who just got their first win. Ravens taking this one 24-13. Next game we got the Panthers and the Falcons. So Panthers, of course, coming off a win over Arizona last week. Falcons took a hard loss to Green Bay and are still a winless team, which I find shocking. Julio Jones, once again, questionable, but I don't expect him to play this week. I think we're probably going to see him in Week 6. That's when I expect to see him. But this week, I just don't see him. The Panthers, last week against Arizona, really, I think they proved themselves, and they're really making a point here that they can be successful without Christian McCaffrey. I know when he went down, everyone thought the season was over, but they're making good use of what they have. I mean, they looked really good last week if you watched. I expect nothing different tonight, or, this afternoon. So Falcons offense going to have another average day. You'll see Matt Ryan and Todd Gurley make something of it, but I think Falcons fall into 0-5. Panthers take this one 20-10. Next game, we got the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. Raiders, as we know, lost a close game to a red-hot Bills team where they really did give themselves a chance to win. I have to give the Raiders credit there. Of all the teams the Bills have played so far, the Raiders really gave them their best shot, either them or the Rams. Both teams gave them a good run for their money, but Josh Allen just proved to be too much. Chiefs, of course, beat out the Pats last Monday, last Monday. Beat them without Cam, though, so didn't really mean too much. I think the Raiders have really looked good early, and this is going to be their toughest challenge up to this point. But I expect another good game. Of course, on the Raiders side, Josh Jacobs, Derek Carr. I expect both these guys to have phenomenal games, but they're no match for the Chiefs, man. Their offense is way too high-powered, and they have no answer for that. I think Mahomes, once again, 2 touchdowns, and their backs are probably going to take 2 more. Chiefs win this one 34-17. Next game we got the Cardinals and the Jets. Cardinals, as we said, lost to the Panthers despite putting a good amount of points on the board. They scored 21, which usually against the Panthers you would think would be enough. But as we said, the Panthers had an amazing outing last week, put up 31. Amazing job by them. Jets, of course, lost to the Broncos on Thursday Night Football and also remain winless, like the Texans, as we said. Sam Darnold is going to be out this week. I mean, he's really been the only good thing we've seen from the Jets this season. I mean, if you look at their defense, I don't even want to speak about it, how bad it is. But you look at Sam Darnold last week against Denver, 50-yard rushing touchdown. He's made some great throws on the run out of the pocket. And overall, I think he's looked very comfortable. He looks good. Without him, I think this team is hopeless, and he is going to be out this week. So I expect Kyler Murray and D-Hop to run up the score on these guys. Cardinals win this one in an absolute blowout, 37-6. Next game we got the Eagles and the Steelers. Of course, the infamous Battle of Pennsylvania. Eagles last week beat out the Niners by 5 on Sunday Night Football, led by a big catch by practice squad receiver Travis Fulgham. Great catch, I gotta admit. Wentz put it right on the money. Beautiful wheel route. I watched that game. Holy, what a catch. Steelers, on the other hand, of course, didn't play last week due to the Titans having numerous cases of COVID, so they were unable to play their game. They tried to postpone it to later in the week. It didn't work. They canceled the game. I think they're going to play it probably week 17. I'd expect it to happen. But Eagles playing with the same injuries as last week. Steelers pretty much at full strength besides the loss. I believe they don't have Derek Watt, their fullback, but I don't think we're going to have any issues there. This game, another big upset that I'm calling here. I underestimated Philly last week against the Niners, and they came out with a win. I'm not doing it again. They look worse on paper, but I think they can upset the Steelers this week. I mean, you look at these guys. Carson Wentz really looked good last week. Miles Sanders looked good last week. He looked comfortable with the receivers, even if they weren't the ones he's used to. I think the Eagles can maybe take one this week against Pittsburgh. So we'll see. I think Miles Sanders is going to have himself another day, and these backup wide receivers, as I said, are going to prove themselves once again. Eagles take this one 24-23 in a nail-biter that comes down to the wire. Next game we got the Rams and the Washington football team. Rams this week playing in their final NFC East matchup, which they are currently 3-0 in. As we saw, beat down the Eagles week 2, beat down the Cowboys week 1, took out the Giants week 4, and now coming out in week 5, playing the last of those games against the Washington football team. Washington, as we said, got beat down by Lamar Jackson, and I think the Rams' NFC East domination is going to continue. I mean, I expect Jared Goff and the Rams offense to dominate once again. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, all those guys. On the defensive side, I think we're going to see a constant pressure from Aaron Donald. The football team, Washington, really does not have a good offensive line. I expect Aaron Donald to be in that pocket all day. I'm personally expecting an absolute blowout here. Rams taking this one 31-3. And another game that's just not even close. Next up, we've got the Dolphins and the Niners. The Dolphins, of course, as we saw, lost to Seattle. And I think that game was a lot closer than most people thought it was. I think a lot of people thought, including myself, that Russell Wilson was just going to run up the score. They only lost by, I believe it was 8 points. So Niners, as we said, lost to Philly and will clearly be looking to bounce back. So Niners still severely injured again, but this week they're going to get Jimmy G and Deebo Samuel, both guys expected to play, which is going to be huge. They're a big part of this offense. Dolphins defense, I don't think will have an answer. Even with how injured they are, the Niners, I still think they're going to put it on this Dolphins defense. So I think George Kittle going to have another day. He looked good last week, only had a single touchdown, but I think this week he's going for 2 touchdowns, leading the charge for the Niners in a game that's going to pretty much be all offense. Niners take this one 27-13. Next game we got the Giants and the Cowboys. Giants, as we said, lost a close one to the Rams. So that one was tough. They only lost by 8 points there too. They had a shot at the end of the game to win it, but Cowboys had to witness the return of OBJ. As we said, he put 3 touchdowns on their head. Giants still playing without Saquon and Sterling Shepard. For the Cowboys, they're still without Tyron Smith and Sean Lee. A lot of injuries we've been seeing all around the league. It's horrible, but despite both these teams being injured, I think the Cowboys simply the better team. Dak, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, Zeke. I think these guys are going to put it on the Giants today. And I think Darius Slayton or Daniel Jones might put up a touchdown or two, but they're not even going to come close this week. Cowboys taking this one 34-10. Next game we got the Colts and the Browns. Colts, of course, shut down a Bears team fresh off a comeback win to Atlanta. I think a lot of people were hyped for Nick Foles, and they really shut him down. As I said before, I think he's going to bounce back this week, but I don't think a lot of people expected the Colts, of all people, to be the team to shut down this spark that Nick Foles was creating, but he did. For the Browns, of course, as we spoke about, OBJ carried them to a win. For the Colts, no Darius Leonard this week. It's going to be a huge loss for their run defense. But even with that, Browns running offense. Nick Chubb out this week, but they do have Kareem Hunt, so we got to keep that in mind. He's still going to be a solid back. I think the big decider in this game is going to be, can OBJ have a repeat of last week, or was this just a fluke? Just a one great game, and he's going to go back to normal. So that's the big question. Is he going to have a repeat or a similar game to last week? And I think the answer is yes. I expect 2 more touchdowns from OBJ this week. I think he's going to tear them apart. I'm expecting 150 plus, 2 touchdowns to Odell's name today. Browns winning this one 27-17. Next game we got is the Vikings and the Seahawks. Vikings, of course, beat out the Texans for their first win of the season. That was a good one. Seattle, as we said, beat out the Dolphins. Barely getting by. Vikings still playing without Anthony Barr and Danielle Hunter, their 2 best, run defenders. I expect Seattle to have no problems this week. Russell Wilson still playing at an MVP level. I believe now he has 21 touchdowns, 2 picks right now, which is phenomenal. So Tyler Lockett, too, and DK Metcalf are also looking at one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. The only one I could really see putting over them is Mike Evans and Chris Godwin in Tampa Bay. Other than that, these guys are on top. They look great. Overall, Seattle is going to make easy work of Minnesota. I'd see some fight out of Thielen and Dalvin Cook, but nothing too serious. Seattle's going to take this one 31-20. Moving on to our 2 Monday night games this week, starting off with the Broncos and the Patriots. The first thing I want to be known is that I do believe this game is going to get postponed because the Patriots now have Cam Newton and Stephon Gilmore out on COVID reserve. So I think it's gonna get through their whole team, and this game's gonna get moved back. But if it doesn't, we're gonna cover it just in case. So Broncos, as we said, beat out the Jets on Thursday Night Football. Patriots took a tough loss to the Chiefs on Sunday night. And Broncos, same thing with New England, playing with a ton of injuries on both sides of the ball, including Cortland Sutton, Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, Jarrell Casey, just all these guys. And, of course, Cortland Sutton out too. And, and for the Patriots, as we said, no Cam Newton, no Stephon Gilmore. I think the Broncos' injuries are going to simply outweigh the Pats' injuries. So I think the Broncos here are going to be taking another loss. Brian Hoyer is going to be able to get it done, even though, of course, he's not no Cam Newton, but I think he'll play better than Drew Lock. So got the Patriots taking this one 24-10. All right, our other Monday night game is going to be the Chargers and the Saints. Chargers, of course, coming off a loss to the Bucs, as we said, but they only lost by a touchdown, so it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Justin Herbert still had a great game there, threw for 3 touchdowns, and he looked sharp. So Saints, on the other hand, barely beat out the Lions in a game that it really looked like they were going to lose. I mean, they went down like 2 touchdowns halfway through the first quarter, but they turned it around. I'll give it to them. Michael Thomas still questionable for this game, and it should be a game-time decision, I expect. But I think this is Michael Thomas is this whole team. He's going to be the reason whether they win or lose this week. And, I mean, I expect the Chargers to ride their momentum of a great game they had last week. And I think they're going to come out swinging. I think they're going to put up an early score. Drew Brees, on the other hand, really has not looked the greatest. And I don't see any big improvements coming this week. I don't expect Michael Thomas to play, so I just don't see much hope here. I see the Chargers taking this and a close one, 27-23. And the final game of this week, for the first time ever, Tuesday Night Football. We got the Bills and the Titans, so let's get right into it. I don't know about this game. This one might get pushed back too because obviously the Titans have had a lot of COVID-19 issues themselves, but we will see. Bills, of course, won a close game against the Raiders last week, as we spoke on. Titans didn't play last week due to numerous players getting the virus, so that didn't happen. As I said, it's still very up in the air as to whether or not this game will happen. Both of these teams are undefeated too, which should be nice. Josh Allen, let's talk about it, continues to be red hot. This guy, and I love the way he plays because when you look at guys like Patrick Mahomes, for example, this is a guy who you really see throwing the ball to 2 or 3 guys. I mean, Tyreek Hill's getting it, Travis Kelce's getting it, and sometimes you'll see Mecole Hardman getting it or Demarcus Robinson. But when you watch Josh Allen, watch one of these Bills games, he really spreads the ball out. You don't really know where it's going, and it's good because when you become predictable and you only have one target, it's a lot easier to contain a quarterback like that. But when he really spreads the ball around, it's a lot more difficult. So I expect the Titans to be a little disorganized. They haven't been able to practice together for basically the last week, and I think that's going to screw them up a little bit. I expect the Bills to once again straight up dominate. Josh Allen, as we said, going to spread the ball around as he always does. I expect 3 touchdowns coming his way, and the Bills taking this one 31-24. That's all we got for this week. Look for my NBA Finals reactions. We're going to talk about that series, my opinions on it, how I felt it went, what each team could have done, all that kind of stuff. We're going to go full and in depth to each game of the NBA Finals. So look for that episode. That's going to be coming soon. If you enjoy, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, whatever you want, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.